am Bonin Bough. I am Global Head of Digital for PepsiCo. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is digital fitness and ROI-driven experimentation. How many people have heard of Performance with Purpose, the PepsiCo? Oh, there we go. A couple folks in the front. Yeah, I think this guy works for PepsiCo, so he doesn't count. So clearly I'm not doing a good job because there was not a lot of hands in the audience. So the one thing I have to do today is make sure that you leave understanding what Performance with Purpose is. And so simply put, Performance with Purpose is investing in a healthier future for people and planet. And what it talks about, and it's a business ethos that our CEO brought forth 5 years ago. And what it talks about is that as an organization our size, the second largest food and beverage company in the world, we have an opportunity, but even more an obligation to operate in a purposeful way. Yes, we have to perform, but we have to do it in a purposeful way. So how do we do good at the same time as doing good? And so when we look at the first compostable bag on Sun Chips, we don't just see it on Sun Chips, we actually see it on every single chip as the leader of sustainable packaging. And what I think is the most interesting is that this is a business ethos that she's actually created, or Indra actually turned into an operational opportunity within inside the organization. So I'm going to come back to this, but without further ado, I do want to talk about why I was here. Usually I have a dinosaur on the slide, and I say I'm going to talk to you all about why we're all dinosaurs. But even more than that, why we are all actually driving human evolution. So that's what I'm going to start with. This is a snapshot of the last 20 million years of human evolution. But what's interesting is that only in the last 20 years has man had access to a computer. But the pace of innovation that we've seen in those 20 years has been unparalleled. But what's even more interesting, actually, how many people here remember a world without an iPad? Raise your hand. It's not that hard, guys. It was less than a year ago. Don't pat yourself on the back too much. But what's interesting is that in that year, 79 new evolutions, new tablet versions that look somewhat like the iPad were launched. And so not only are we at a pace of innovation that's unparalleled, but even more interesting, we're at a pace of consumer consumption of these technologies that we've never seen before. And in fact, in March, more apps were downloaded from the App Store than songs were downloaded from iTunes. So if at one point in time music was the purveyor of culture, then clearly digital is. And in fact, digital is actually driving our entire society. And more than just being culture, we are actually becoming a 100% digital society. But what's interesting is that society used to be late adopters. And in fact, the first time that most people interacted with a piece of technology like a computer was probably inside of an organization. Maybe it was business or government or university. For me, the first time I got an email was inside of university. But the moment that technology began to look social, the moment technology began to become mobile and actually look more like society, it took off. And it permeated every single thing that we do inside of our life. Everything from banking to accounting to every single thing and application that you guys in this room are driving. And what's interesting is that it's happened across generations. So it's not just the young or the old. And in fact, this is truly the firstborn digital generation. Everybody talks about, people are, wait, go. Oh, nice, there you go. There you go, sir. You're welcome. What's the name of the app? There you go. I apologize. There was a conversation from the front. We will keep moving now, sir. Thank you, though. But what's interesting is that this is the truly firstborn digital generation. Everybody talks about millennials. Oh, millennials. Maybe I'm a little upset because my generation hasn't gotten anything. We're kind of squished in the middle, but that's okay. But this is the truly first generation that's born digital. What's interesting is that this is the generation where I saw a little girl. I was in the airport coming back from Social Media Week, and she walked up to a big 13-inch CRT screen, and she tried to touch it. Because to her, every single screen is a touch screen. She knows no different. David Pogue wrote an interesting post. He said, I am so nervous that my son is becoming addicted to the iPad, which is cute and funny, if it wasn't true. And when we look at societies that are 98% connected to the internet, like South Korea, they actually announce internet addiction as a real disease. 10% of their youth population is addicted to the internet, and 30% are at risk. It's so crazy that they sing songs in school about how to use the internet appropriately. They have banner ads posted around classrooms, just like I remember with your brain on drugs. And even the older generation, my 84-year-old father, the only way he talks to me is via text message. Maybe it's because he doesn't like me. I don't know what the situation is. He's afraid to talk to me. But that's how he talks to me. And in fact, so many grandparents grandparents will actually watch their grandkids grow up via FaceTime or Skype. And they'll will see their grandkids for the first time via FaceTime and Skype, and watch their kids grow up via Facebook. But it even affects us in death. So a good friend of mine, her father passed away, and she was playing Scrabble with him on Facebook. Until this day, the Scrabble game asks her to have her father play his turn. What this is called is an issue called digital death. And what it talks about is, as society faces 100% connectedness, what do we do with big issues such as mortality? What does it mean to have a Facebook page live as a memorial? What does it mean to have our data go on beyond us? I don't have to say anything, right? I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, first they beat us in chess, and now they beat us in Jeopardy. This is all that's all we have left. But what's so interesting is that it didn't just beat us because it outcalculated us or it outprocessed us. In fact, IBM set out to build a machine that thought just like us. So it actually outthought us. There's a great article that says, "Is Google making us stupid?" Anybody in here victim aside from me? Yes. And what it talks about is that every single technology that's changed the world has done so without us even knowing that we were being changed. And he talks about the clock, and he says, before the clock, I went to sleep when I wanted to, I woke up when I wanted to. After the clock, I ate at a certain time, I woke up at a certain time, I operated like clockwork. That's my robot. And he says, that's a good robot, guys. And he says that he can no longer digest long-form content because the act of using Google has changed him in a way that he didn't even realize he was being changed. And when you look at brain scans about people reading a book versus using Google, we're actually using totally different sides of our brain. And so we might be being rewired. And other studies are showing that using multitasking and mobile devices in Google is actually as addictive as cocaine. There was a recent study that just got published 2 days ago in the UK where a kid said, I scratch like a crackhead when I'm away from my mobile device. So, crazy. So in fact, Twitter and Facebook might be a gateway drug, and there's some guy on the corner that's like, just give me 140 characters. I just need a status update. Just give me a status update. And while we are all drugged out on technology, and Google's making us stupid, computers are actually getting smarter. To the point where they're approaching a moment in time where people are calling the singularity. The one moment in time when the pace of digital innovation happens so fast that it creates a rupture in the fabric of human evolution. And computers become smarter than people. For me, probably sooner than 2045. I think my iPhone turned off might actually be able to be smarter than me. But my point is that we have to ask ourselves as organizations and as society, in a pace where technology is moving so fast, how do we survive? And that's what it's about. So if Charles Darwin knew anything about survival, it might be this, is that it's not the strongest of the species, nor the most intelligent, but those who are the most adaptable to change. And that's what we're going to talk about, adaptation to change. So, what does Darwin's finch look like? Exactly, yes, exactly. You see these people on the street walking around with the headset on, and you're like, why are you talking to themselves? It's crazy. But that's what we're talking about, is adaptation. If you cease to adapt, then you cease to survive. That is the pace at which digital is happening right now. If you don't believe me, let's play a little game I like to call Digital Survival. On the right, the most intelligent security agency in the world. On the left, one man, a few hackers, and WikiLeaks. And they brought down the most intelligent security agency in the world. What's so interesting is of the 250,000 documents that they quote-unquote unearthed, let's just say that, one of the documents said, and I quote, "We know that Google is doing some evil somewhere." Some evil. This is the CIA, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know, intelligence at its best. Sorry. On the left, a regime that's been in power for years. On the right, a hashtag that united a nation, started a revolution, and changed the world. And it doesn't just end in society. On the top, Amazon. On the bottom, Borders. On the clicker. Sorry. On the top, Amazon. On the bottom, Borders. It's not just written on the walls, it's actually written on balance sheets. And it's not just them, right? clicker is not, you are not going together. Okay. Sorry. There was a flow that got messed up there a little bit. Anyway, it's not just them. I mean, look, Blockbuster, 2 years bankrupt. How many people watched as Netflix was sending out DVDs and said, please, Blockbuster, just send out a DVD. I will come to your house. I will help you. I will put a stamp on the DVD. Just send it out. Can't you read the writing on the wall? Please. But the problem is failure to adapt means failure to survive. So, what's interesting is that organizations actually used to be early adopters. But the moment it became mobile and social, the moment society introduced these technologies into their lives in ways that we've never seen, companies became stagnant, they became paralyzed, they became closed, they became afraid of litigation because somebody might say something on Twitter. How many people in here have a better browser on their personal computer than they do at work? Raise your hand. It's crazy. It's nuts. We spend millions of dollars as organizations to market to consumers, but yet we have Netscape 3.0. It's insane. And they'll tell you it's because there's one person in the accounting department that has one application and they have to use it. And it was created 8 years ago, and that's why we need Netscape 3, and we can't change. It's crazy. Of course, that person writes your check, so be careful what you say. But my point is that there is now a gap between where society is digitally and where organizations are. And that's what every single person in this room is constantly doing. And what we need to do more is close the gap between where organizations are and society is. So, digital fitness. I told you I was going to get to this. So, what does it mean? I think closing the gap is about digital fitness. It's about the ability to adapt to changes in a digital environment. And how do you get digitally fit? The same way you get physically fit. It takes rigor. It takes commitment. It takes exercise. It takes pushing yourself past the point of where you want to say no. And that's what we have to continue to do with organizations. We have to push them past the point of where they want to say no. So, we're all digital fitness experts. Some of us, I'm just saying, have better Photoshop people than others. I'm just letting you know that. You charge it by the pixel. It was an expensive photo, yes, ladies and gentlemen. But we are all digital fitness experts. And in fact, we have an obligation to help organizations flex the biggest muscle that they have. It's not the one you're thinking of. In fact, it's the muscle of digital innovation. And we have to do it beyond just marketing and communications. We have the obligation to help the entire organization. So all 300,000 people at PepsiCo, I see a day when they're listening, participating, and engaging. Because it is affecting not just every part of society, but every aspect of business. So, how we approach that at PepsiCo is the digital fitness model. A couple of simple steps, and now I'm going to talk about some cases that are involved in this. But first, invite innovation. How do we make sure, and there are a number of PepsiCo people here, but how do we make sure that we take organizations to the places where innovation happens? South by Southwest, Barcelona Mobile Congress. How do we go where the brightest minds and the new thinking are happening? And again, beyond just marketing communications. How do we challenge conventions? How do we identify the barriers inside of organizations that are stopping us from moving forward and break through them? Experimentation. How do we deliver ROI-driven experimentation, which I think is one of the most important factors and something I'm going to talk about. But then how do we not let perfect be the enemy of the good? I think the companies in the Bay Area have mastered not letting perfect be the enemy of the good. You can think about that on your own, but companies like Google have been in beta. They might as well call themselves beta. They're constantly in beta. Apple hasn't delivered a good iPhone yet. It's like, oh, antenna covered by the finger doesn't work. Buy a new one. Iteration, iteration. But that's the mindset we need to get in an iterative mindset in order for organizations to win. But then we have to learn, rinse, and repeat. We have to do it over and over and over again in a structured way that the entire organization is learning from it. So, here's a quick example of something that we've done which falls into the experiment category. So we were the first company to partner with Foursquare, the first brand to partner with Foursquare. But the goal was to create a very methodical, ROI-driven learning experience, learning agenda. Because we truly believe that one of the barriers that organizations face is they believe, or CPG, is they believe they can't have a loyalty relationship with the consumer at point of sale. We challenged that. We said, yes, we can. In fact, these location technologies allow you to check in to a Pepsi experience inside a retailer and actually have a loyalty relationship with us. But we said, first we need to understand the different reasons why people are checking in and how we approach that from a brand perspective. So the first program we did, which was out here on the West Coast with Vons, or one of the first, actually the first program we did was a check-in for charity, but one of the first incentive-driven programs was a program with Vons. And so what we did was, across the portfolio, again, what we think is interesting is our ability to provide both a beverage and a snack, or food and beverage, across the portfolio. And so instead, this was connected to your loyalty card. And instead of asking people to do a behavior that they're not doing in terms of checking in to a Vons, we said, we're going to reward you for the behaviors you're already doing in Foursquare. So if you check into a gym, you get the gym rat badge, we reward you with a Gatorade. So how do we reward behaviors that are endemic of the type of consumers that we want for our products? Long and short, twice the redemption rate for people who are using the Vons than people who we traditionally deliver coupons across those cards for in the same store. The next program was Hess and Brisk. I love the Hess and Brisk program. So what we did was we said, yes, we are going to ask you to do something. Check into Hess gas station, which is 1,400 gas stations on the East Coast, and we'll reward you with a coupon for a chip and Brisk. Here's the numbers. This should have been. Anyway, so check-ins, 500%, I believe, ultimately they were up. But what's most interesting is that 47% increase in volume. And what I think people fail to realize is that not only are these technologies now being consumed by people, but they also find it interesting as a part of culture. So people want to be in the cool and in the now. They want to be a Foursquare check-in person. And so we're treating them very similar to how we treat promotional items. And then we provide our scale to a platform that might not be considered scaled, which means point of sale, laminates on the window. So we provide our scale to bring these programs to life with emerging startups. So, long and short, I think that numbers don't tell the full story. And in fact, I think that too much we are caught in trying to measure the minutia of every single thing we do. And a lot of the numbers that we're measuring right now, and don't get me wrong, I believe in ROI-driven programs, but I think a lot of the numbers that we measure now are actually like marketers chiseling in slabs of stone that are actually going to be hieroglyphics. Because in the future, somebody will finally figure out what those numbers mean. And I think what we're facing is a clicker issue, is an ROI, a little bit of an ROI dilemma. And that we're using ROI in a defensive way, and a way to stop us from believing that these technologies are actually going to change the game for us and our consumers. How many people have heard the message, I know that 50% of my TV dollars are wasted, I just don't know what 50%. 50% of 80% of your budget is wasted, but you just don't know? And you're okay with that? But the difference is that at the time those were said, those marketers believed that TV was a way to change their business. And we have to believe that digital is a way to change our business and not get caught in the minutia of trying to measure every single thing. Because what does it mean to have a lot of followers anymore? Well, that's changed. Now it has to be active followers. I've been doing this for 17 years. The metrics have continuously changed. We do have to believe, though, which is the thing that I think is missing right now. So, let's talk about a program that I truly believe in. How many people have heard of PepsiCo 10? Wow, we're not doing a good job, and especially in the back. We need to do more marketing to the back of the room. What PepsiCo 10 was an open call for startups, because we believe that the startups in digital are going to change the way we connect to our consumers. So what we said was, we want an opportunity to bring those startups into the organization and learn and partner with those startups. So it was an open call. We received 520 submissions. We had 20 of those come in and present. They needed shovel-ready technology, but we had 20 of them come in and present to our entire team across, again, not just marketing and communication, but vending, package design, so on and so forth. And here are the 10 startups that we finally chose. But what's interesting is we also had the chance to choose the strategic categories that we know are going to affect our business. So we know that place-based retail, digital at point of sale is going to be transformational. We wanted to meet the technologies that were changing the game there. Mobile marketing, social, digital video and gaming, second screen. Again, 80% on average of media budgets are spent on TV, and the TV experience is being transformed by technologies like second screen, and most people don't even know about it. We want to know about them early and often. And we also want to be a massive partner to those companies as we help to bring them to life and as they change the landscape. So, a very successful program. We're launching it in Europe as a result of that. And finally, I want to leave you with one thing that, again, I think it takes commitment in order to have these technologies change your business. We're out of time, so I'm not going to talk about some of the results on the past stuff, but we are committed to these technologies so much so that we even use emerging technologies on our life's most important work. I told you I was going to come back to performance of purpose, and here's a video for a program that we ran with Sticky Bits where you could scan every single one of our products and see the purpose message behind the products and why we do what we do. Or maybe there's not a video. Okay, well, sorry, it's online. I apologize, I guess there's not a video there. Anyway, there was a video that talked about, can a barcode tell a message? Can a barcode tell a story? We believe it can. In fact, we believe that UPC can be a universal purpose code, and it can tell you the purpose behind every single one of our products. And we believed in emerging technology like Sticky Bits, which we think is going to be the next arms race to own the packaging to help us deliver that message. So, with that, I'm happy about the future, and thank you guys for letting me come out and speak, and I love that. Thank you guys.